Could you give a brief scenario about what The Guys is all about?
Okay, it takes place about 12 days after September 11th. And there's a fire captain, Nick, who's one of the two characters, who's lost 8 of his men in the collapse of the World Trade Center. And he has to write eulogies to speak at all their memorial services. And he finds himself just completely stuck for anything to say. He is sitting with in front of a piece of paper and can't come up with anything.
Is this based on a true story?
It is. It is. It's based on something that did happen to Ann Nelson, the playwright, right after September 11th. So through mutual acquaintances, Nick meets Joan, who's an editor in New York and was formerly a reporter in Central America during the Dirty Wars in Chile and in Argentina. And she says, yeah, I'll help him write these things, and they come together, and the play just takes place on a Saturday afternoon and early evening as they're writing these eulogies. But what happened with Ann Nelson is she actually did meet with this fire captain on several occasions, and her brother-in-law, who's also a writer, actually did help some with the writing of the eulogies as well. But when she was commissioned to write this play for the Flea Theater in Tribeca, she just had the 2 characters. So it kind of condenses the story down to one afternoon and just the 2 characters. But it is based on a true story. Was
this your choice for this particular play?
Yes, it was. I've been trying to do it here. I've suggested it for the last 2 or 3 years. Because when September 11th happened, it just so happened that I already had plane tickets to go out to New York in November of 2001 and tickets to see Full Monty on Broadway. So nothing was going to stop me from going. I went. And while I was there, some friends of mine who lived in Tribeca, 4 blocks from the World Trade Center, had vacated their apartment the day of 9/11. And they never did end up moving back. But one of the days I was in the city, my friend H.T. Snowday, and they live here in town now, they're involved in the theater, H.T. and Lauren Snowday. H.T. was down there cleaning out some of their stuff and packing up, and I called him to see if I could see him, and he said, come on down, and while I was there at their apartment, he took me up on their roof, and I could see the World Trade Center site there. So that really affected me, of course.
That was with all the rubble.
Yeah, they were still cleaning up, because it was about exactly 2 months later, so.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that affected me, of course, and then, of course, walking through the theater district in Manhattan, there's a firehouse I've gone by each time I've been in New York, and I've visited New York about 10 times now.
So how's it been directing this show?
It's been great.
Has it lived up to your expectations?
Yeah, it's been very rewarding. And I was lucky enough to get a great cast. And it's something it's kind of a labor of love. I wanted to do it because the play came out. The play was actually first produced in December of 2001, and then it was published. And I used to go into the Stage and Screen play services like Book a Month Club, where there's a different featured play every month, and The Guys was probably, I don't know, early the following year, early in 2002 was the featured play, and I ordered a copy and read it, and I wanted to do it ever since then. So
you have Bonnie Diegh and you have Don Kuehlhorn as the actors. So how has it been for both of them?
I think that they've been very moved by it as well, and they've worked very, very hard. I mean, to understand the play itself and the characters, and flesh out their characters, and understand the language of the play, because it's really quite an incredible play.
Everybody in the world, for the most part, has heard about 9/11. So, is there any special perspective that this play brings out that would be really informative to people, giving them a completely different understanding of 9/11?
Well, just that it puts a human face. I mean, we hear the number 343 members of the FDNY, died. But then this puts a face on it, because here's a guy that was fortunate enough to not be on duty that day, but lost 8 of his men, and is coming to grips with that. And here's this regular Joe firefighter, and he kind of represents the everyman, if you will, of the firefighters, that were lost that day. And so it brings that perspective and putting a human face on, the people that were lost, and also just taking it a step further with how people not only dealt with the grief of losing people on 9/11, but deal with the grief that comes with losing people and a great catastrophe in general, I think. So
this is a one-act play, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And what's the running time for it?
It's going to be about 70 minutes.
About 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And it opens, official openings on the 12th.
Yes.
It runs through until...
It's going to close the 27th, and the first weekend we just go Friday, Saturday. Second weekend is Thursday, Friday, Saturday with a Sunday matinee at 3. And then the third weekend is Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Well, congratulations for putting
Thanks.
this show together. And
Thanks.
I'm going to be coming on Friday night.
All right.
I can't wait to
Good.
see it.
Good, good.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you,
very much,
Cinder.
Wayne.
You bet.